Hi everyone, my name is Holly, and in today's video I am going to be doing my April book haul. So this is probably the most exciting book haul that I have obtained in a really long time. I have a ton of adult fantasy in this haul, way more than in my last book haul that was titled Adult Fantasy Only. Go figure. I also have some really exciting arcs to share with you, so let's go ahead and dive right in. So the first book I have to show you is Dusk Ball by Christopher Husberg, and this is book 1 in the Chaos Queen Quintet. So I live in a very small town, which causes my boyfriend and I to have to travel like 45 minutes to go to our nearest Barnes & Noble, and when we go there we kind of window shop, and the last time we went there I actually went to the adult section and I did not leave that adult section, which was the first time for me, and I spotted this. And of course, it was like 20 bucks. Adult fantasy is normally really expensive, so I went on Amazon, found a cheap version, which was like new, and I have it now. No regrets. So this is Christopher Husberg's debut novel, and it has been getting rave reviews. It's a dark fantasy, and it is told from 3 different perspectives. One of them being a man named Nott, where in the beginning of the book he's actually being dragged from the freezing sea, being pierced by arrows, and he has no idea how he got there. He has no memory of himself. He has no idea what's going on. And we also follow a woman named Winter who was aboard the ship that found Nott, and who has apparently a power that she can't even begin to explain. And we also follow a priestess named Cynthia who returns after being away from home for years, and she ends up finding her sister branded a heretic and is hoping to save her and her family. Supposedly this is perfect for fans of Anne Rice and J.R. Tolkien, so I am incredibly interested to see if that holds up. So the next book I have here is Malice by John Gwynne, and this is another book that I spotted at Barnes & Noble. I've actually been eyeing this one for a really long time, but when I spotted the beautiful edition at Barnes & Noble, it officially made me go on Amazon and buy it, and I absolutely do not regret it, even though this thing is a freaking brick. But I do love really dense fantasies, and this one sounds oh so promising. So this is a dark adult fantasy, and it follows many different perspectives across spans of different kingdoms. I've heard that this is a classic fantasy book where it's a battle between good and evil, but instead of it being like your typical fantasy, this book shows the internal struggle of good people who find themselves fighting for the bad side. I am super hyped about this one. Just the epic fight scenes and probably oh so sad times. So I'm going to switch it up a little bit because I have some really exciting arcs to show you, and the first one is The Smoke Thieves by Sally Green, which was sent to me by Viking Books, so thank you so much for that, and this one comes out in May. So this is the first book in a brand new young adult fantasy series that revolves around a big cast of characters, and it's kind of the same setup of Fallen Kingdoms. There's Tash, who is an assistant demon catcher who works for her boss Gravel to catch demons and to collect their smoke despite it being illegal. That apparently brings a really high price, which sounds really interesting. We also follow a princess and someone in her royal guard, so lots of characters to follow, and apparently they all intertwine together to bring an awesome action-packed plot, and I'm super excited. The next arc I have to show you is a super exciting one because I was not expecting them to show up, and it did, and I was like absolutely blown away by it, and that is Furyborn by Claire Legrand. This was sent to me by Sourcebook, so thank you so much. You guys are so awesome, and this one comes out May 22nd. Tons of amazing May books coming out. Like, my wallet is literally crying. Do you hear it? Yeah, I hear it. So this is a YA fantasy that is told from dual alternating point of views. One of them being Raelle, who is in the past, and she finds herself fighting for her life because she has to face these 7 trials to find out if she is the true Sun Queen. And then there's Eliana, who is 1,000 years later, and she's an assassin trying to protect her family when her mother and other women are kidnapped. I am incredibly interested to see how Legrand kind of interweaves these two point of views together. I am excited to read it and see if I catch up on a lot of parallels between both stories. I feel like it's going to be kind of like searching for Easter eggs. So other awesome things I've heard about the story is that there's sexual positivity, there's a range of diversity and strong female characters, like every YA fantasy to be honest, and also a very complex magic system which involves a chart in the back of the book. I'm excited about that especially, and I'm incredibly grateful to have an early copy. So that is all of the arcs I have to show you. Now up next I have 4 books that were sent to me by Orbit Books. I know a very awesome lady that is just way too kind to me, and yeah, she sent me some awesome books I'm so excited to read. And the first one is Torn by Rowena Miller, and this is a new YA fantasy that just recently came out, so if you are interested in this you can get it immediately. Honestly, the premise of this book just sounds so awesome. It is about a seamstress who can sew magical charms into clothing. Like, you have me sold. So in this story we follow a girl named Sophie who ends up opening up a dress shop so that she can earn enough money to help her and her brother because they are struggling financially. Luckily, Sophie is so amazing at creating beautiful dresses and ball gowns, specifically because she puts charms into them. This gets the attention of the Duke, who ends up commissioning her. This is apparently for fans of the Queen of the Tearling series, which I haven't read myself, so I can't really confirm that, but if you have read that series, then maybe check this one out. So the next book I have here is Age of Assassins by R.J. Barker, and as the title kind of says, this book is all about assassins. I totally get Assassin's Creed vibes from this cover, and I'm not hating it. So in the story we specifically follow 2 assassins, one of them being Mirla, who is the so-called greatest assassin living in this day and age, and we also follow her apprentice Gerton, and they are inevitably lured into a trap, and then they are blackmailed into taking a very unusual job. Instead of assassinating someone, they are tasked to determine whether or not there is a conspiracy to assassinate the royal heir, and if so, to prevent it from happening. So here's the funny part. Mirla and Gerton end up having to take up false identities. One of them has to be a jester and one of them has to be a squire, and entrenching themselves in the day-to-day life of living in the castle and investigating who the possible killer might be. I swear, every single review that I see of this book, they always use the word unputdownable. I think this sounds so cool, and I feel like it's kind of hard to mess up a story about assassins. I am just so hyped for this one. So the third book that was in that Orbit package was Kings of the Wild by Nicholas Eames, and this is probably the most exciting book that I have in this haul, possibly. I don't know, there's just something about this book that I am super excited to read about. So these mercenaries were the It clan back in the day. Now they are old and most of them have settled down and they have wives and now they have children that they have to take care of, and they haven't really gotten together in a while until one day a man, specifically Clay, he gets a knock on his door and it's one of his ex-mercenary mates bearing terrible news that leads them to have to get back together again. This honestly sounds so fun. I've heard that there is a ton of banter between these men. I expect a lot of dad jokes, to be honest. There better be dad jokes. It would be made for me. But I guess this isn't just a bag full of laughs. It is a dark fantasy, so I expect things to get pretty messy pretty quickly. So the last book that was in my Orbit Books package is Mageborn by Stephen Aryan, and this is the first book in Stephen Aryan's brand new trilogy, I believe, maybe trilogy series, I'm not quite sure, but it's called Age of Dread. So this book is actually set 10 years after the conclusion of Stephen Aryan's previous trilogy called Age of Darkness, which I haven't read yet, but I absolutely plan on picking it up and reading it first. So in this world, there is a place called the Red Tower, which aims to train children to control their magic and to become mages. You have me already. There are people called the Seekers who roam the lands and search for these children who have powers, but unfortunately there's a plot manifesting to ban magic altogether. So this book does have a very generic sounding premise, but it is kind of in that like classic fantasy genre, which are hardly a miss for me. So I'm super excited to go into this one. So these next two books here I bought myself, and the first one being The Emperor's Blade by Brian Staveley. I mainly picked this one up because I've heard it being compared to the Kingkiller Chronicles, and it also just sounds so awesome. So in this story, the emperor has just been assassinated, and we end up following three of his children who are trying to avoid the same fate. There are plots afoot against the empire, and all three of these children have very important roles to play. I'm kind of assuming that the three characters on this cover are the three children that we follow, which is very ominous actually, but it sounds very amazing. There's a lot of love circulating this story, and I can't wait to read it. So the final book I have here is The Wheel of Oceum by Mark Lawrence, and this is the third and final book in the Red Queen's War series. I actually own the first two. I haven't started the series yet, but I have been collecting Mark Lawrence books for a while, and I spotted this final conclusion on Book Outlet for really cheap, and I couldn't pass it up. You know how adult fantasy hardcovers are hard to find, or they're like way overpriced, so I had to jump on this, and now I have the whole series completed, and now I can just marathon it, which is going to be so fun. Obviously, Mark Lawrence can't do anything wrong. So those were all of the books that I acquired in April. A lot of dark adult fantasy, which I have been so into lately. I love how it's kind of been shifting my bookshelves. But before we end this video, I do have a little package to show you guys. I got my April wrap package from Shiki Creates. She has a amazing bookish jewelry shop that you should definitely check out. I will leave her website and my coupon code down below in the description box if you are interested, but let me show you some of the pieces that I got because she blows me away every single time. So please ignore my nails, but the first one is this amazing mermaid necklace. It is absolutely stunning. It's kind of just a pendant with a very iridescent emblem in the middle, and it also has little scales on it. I'm not sure if you can see that detail, but man, when this thing catches in the light, it is so pretty. It changes colors, and it also has this little shell on it. It is adorable. I love it so, so much. Up next is this Harry Potter ring, which the bottom says always, and it's kind of just like a blue tinted forest in the background. It's really, really pretty. It's kind of adjustable, but I normally just wear it on my pinky. It just fits very comfortably there. And yeah, you can get all of these products in her shop right now. I highly recommend checking them out, especially her rings. I love her rings so, so much. Up next, we have a bookmark, which is so cool. I absolutely love this ship wheel design. It's actually inspired by Nikolai from the Grishaverse. The quote says, "I keep to a strict diet of ill-advised enthusiasm and heartfelt regret." So fitting for Nikolai. Here's the back of it. The bulb right here is really, really thick. Like, do you see that? Holy moly. And there is the clip as well. It doesn't bend your pages at all. I've used it a few times myself, and I love it. Alrighty, so last but not least are these earrings, and I am very surprised that Shiki actually created these for me because let's see if I can get low enough here, I have my ears gauged, so I can't really wear earrings that much, but she made these little clip-ons for me. So here it is. It just opens up like that, so if you are not in the mood to get your ears pierced, you can just buy these and clip them right on your ears. These are Lord of the Rings inspired, and this one says Aragorn, and this one says Arwen, which is so cute. So again, I will leave Shiki Creates shop down below in the description box, and use my code HOLLY, and that will save you 20% off right now before April ends. I highly recommend using that code immediately because it will go down to 10% after April. So get on that. So that is it for today's video. I really hope you enjoyed. If you did, give this video a big thumbs up because it helps me out so much. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't, and don't forget to hit the bell that is beside my name so that you get notified for when I post new videos. So until we meet again, happy reading.